Okay, so that was Philip from Rowad Partners. Up next is Mohammed Jaffar, an entrepreneur and investor. I'm sure most of you know him. He's a regional success, so let's give him a round of applause. Just before we get started, we only had 26 people actually polling, so the results might have been a little bit skewed. So please scan the QR code over here on the screen so you can join the conversation and poll your opinions while Mohammed's giving us what's coming up next for him. So I think most of us all know Mohammed. Sorry. Okay, so for whoever doesn't have the QR code application, scan it on, you can look it up on the Apple Store for QR Reader or the Google Play Store, right? That's what it is, because I'm an iPhone user, so I get confused. Android, okay, perfect. So Mohammed, we're so happy to have you here. He's come all the way from Kuwait to join us today, so please welcome him here. And I'm sure what's great about Mohammed is that he loves Bahrain as much as I do, I think, if not more. We know him as his success story as Talabat, but nobody knows and nobody has actually heard what Mohammed's doing and what's coming up next from Mohammed. So let us know, Mohammed. Everybody's excited to hear.
First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me. Like you said, I love this country. I always feel happy coming to Bahrain. Happier than going anywhere else in the Arab world, for sure. I believe in the ecosystem. I believe in the people of the Gulf, the Arab people. I'm a believer in you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can follow in the footsteps of great countries. Let's look at the Western countries. Let's look at North America. Let's look at Japan. Let's follow in their footsteps. And if you look at the technology space, it's growing. It's still untapped. There hasn't been many successes in this part of the world. So it's about creating more success. I see many gaps in this part of the world in the technology space. So I've decided, of course, I've been working non-stop for the last 12 years of my life, and I took some time off. And just like anything, sometimes you are in a period of limbo. You don't know what you should do this or do that. And I thank God, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day to give me clarity. I woke up one morning and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And basically, I'm going to be setting up a privately owned venture capital business to invest in the technology space in the GCC. Because I'm a believer in the GCC. I'm a believer in the GCC people, I'm a believer in the Arab people as well. And I believe we can achieve great success just like our friends and brothers in Europe and America. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be investing in upcoming talents. And I'm not just going to be investing in terms of money, I'm going to be investing in terms of know-how and knowledge of how to build great companies.
So when we talk about the technology space, it's a wide space. So we hear fintech, medtech, educational technology. Is there anything that you think is the future for the region, or what you actually believe is something that's going to move it forward?
There are many sectors here still that are offline and have not been converted to online. So, and that's what Talabat was. I mean, I cannot take credit for Talabat. The people who should be taking credit for Talabat are the founders of Talabat, because they actually saw the gap. You know, they're sitting in the Diwani and one day, and Talabat was the third business. They failed in the first two. And I said, how many people per day pick up the phone and memorize Harji's number or KFC number? Why don't people order online? So they started it, they kicked it off. I just came and just made it better. And it's about building a great business. And sometimes to build a great business, there's a lot of common sense you need to go to, a lot of hard work needs to go into it. You need to work in an ethical way. So it's about converting. And food is one thing. There's other sectors out there that still have not been converted. And it's about really converting them into successful, large, international online players coming from this part of the world. And I'm a believer that that's what will happen.
So that's in like the sort of the digital media technology sector. So you think that that's the better area for us here in the region, or?
There are many ways. The question is, I don't know everything. I don't know everything about online. I know certain things. I see certain gaps, and I'm a believer in youth, and I'm identifying talented individuals that I believe, inshallah, will be successful people. So it's about going to these guys and helping them, and leveraging my whatever knowledge I have, and give them the financial support needed for really to take it to the next level. So definitely, I'm a believer in youth, and especially youth from this part of the world.
Well, I mean, that's actually very great to hear. If I can ask the Geek Dream team over there to put up the poll for the questions. So I want you guys to encourage all of you to pull the questions. So Mohammed, you decided at one point, to decide to follow the route of entrepreneurship, and now you're going into the route of becoming an investor, a venture capitalist, and you saw opportunity. And let's talk about what you think are the top reasons why people want to become an entrepreneur. Do you think they're born with it? I mean, it's a very cliche question, but I'd like to ask you because you've become a regional success, and we don't hear enough about why you decided.
I became successful not because of me. I became successful through God's blessing and the great team that I had. So my job was to hire as many great people as possible and make them believe in what I believe. And my job was to make them happy. So I can't really take all the credits. I mean, God's blessing, and then it's the amazing team that I had. So the question is identifying. Identifying. For me, I always wanted to be my own boss. I didn't want to be. So I went to my father. I remember. I said, "Dad, give me some money. I want to be an entrepreneur." He said, "I'm not giving you anything." And I told him, "Why not?" He said, What experience do you have?" And I told him, "Well, I just graduated from a top 10 university in the UK. I've been living there. I was in a boarding school." Because that doesn't mean anything to me. Go and work and then come back to me. So I went and I started off my career in corporates. So for me, the reason for why I wanted to be an entrepreneur in the first place was to be my own boss. And of course, a lot of things stem from that. It's because I also have certain beliefs in certain things. I believe companies should be built in certain ways. Relationships should be done in certain ways. People should treat each other in certain ways. So by being my own boss, I had the freedom of doing whatever I want. So you can imagine as if you are the king of a country and you can just set the rules that you want. But of course, setting these rules that go hand in hand with the government rules, not straying. That's when it comes to me.
Okay, so let's say now with your new venture capital fund, somebody comes up to you and says, "I want to become my own boss." And will you tell them the same advice your dad gave you to go get some experience before coming back? How will you choose your entrepreneurs, and who are you going to actually invest in? And I think a lot of people are going to be listening to that over here today.
No, for sure. I believe you have to go and get some experience before you go into entrepreneurship. It's the worst thing to jump into entrepreneurship straight out of university, or doing it while you're studying.
Why? Why is that?
Because you don't have the it's about building a business. And building a business is a knowledge which you have to gain. And nobody's born, with this knowledge. You're born whether you're an entrepreneur or not. Yes. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur. So there's a lot of pressure on me also to be an entrepreneur. But I had no idea how to be an entrepreneur. I had no idea how to build a business and how to run a business and how to treat people and how to identify talent and how to, So I learned that. I have to say, working 4 years in corporate banking gave me a lot of foundation knowledge. So after I thought myself, yeah, I'm ready now, I went and I started to apply whatever I learned into practice on something that I control. So that's very, very important. You have to have experience. And it doesn't have to be 10 years of experience, but at least 3-4 years of experience.
Okay. So what about, let's say we have a lot of these accelerator programs setting up in the region, and also, especially here in Bahrain and the UAE. A lot of people can actually learn these skills on how to run their business from these accelerator programs. Do you think that's still enough for you to invest your money in?
No. I believe if you want to build a successful international company and you want to run it properly and make people happy, you have to have proper corporate experience. If you don't have the proper corporate experience, you will struggle later on. Of course, some people are just, that's what I believe. There are, of course, other examples of people with no corporate experience that build great businesses as well. But I'm a believer in getting that experience is vital if you want to build a company, scalable across the region.
All right, so let's look at what the audience said. What do you think? So a lot of them are saying that they want to follow their passion, and 23% of those pollers said what you said, be your own boss. What do you think of those results?
I think I was expecting something like this. Follow my passion is of course, being my own boss, then I'm going to be following my passion, so these are related.
Mohammed, you said something very important. You said something about the team. You know, you had a great team that made you succeed in your first venture. So is that something that you're going to look for when you invest in someone? What if somebody comes up to you and he's an incredible idea but no team? And you know how our region is, right? And our culture is, this is my idea, I don't want to share it. What if somebody steals it? What if somebody replicates it? And we know how hard it is to get these like patents and intellectual property in a very fast pace. So a lot of people are very afraid. How are you going to treat the person who comes up just on his own with an idea?
It's all about the leader. If I can see someone with fire in his eyes and is willing to roll up his sleeves and work day and night, and he has what it takes to make this into a great business, then I'll help him putting a team together. That's exactly my new model, is to help these people. So I actually have a big team. I'm not running a typical VC company. I have a big team on board, a high caliber team. So these guys will be parachuted into these investments, because we know these investments we're going to be making, these entrepreneurs are young men and women. They're not going to have that, the full know-how. So our job is to actually, for them to learn from us, and we'll also learn from them. We don't also know everything as well ourselves. So we're learning from each other, because even us, we consider ourselves still young as well, inshallah. But the question is, it's about leveraging this know-how. And if you realize, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science to build a great company. And it's all about the team, because if you have people that love you and see exactly what you're doing, they're going to work day and night. So my job was, how can I make these guys as happy as possible? And I realized it's not money that makes them happy. What makes them happy is trust. So I had to build a system where they can trust. If they trust the system, that means they're going to trust me, and that means they're going to believe me blindly. And that's what I wanted. I wanted people to believe me blindly. I didn't know whether I was going to succeed or fail. I had no idea. I knew one thing: I'm going to do my very, very best. And I had 180 other people with me that did their very best every day. And of course, sometimes it's difficult, because sometimes you go through bad times and bad days, and competitors try to punch under the line, under the belt. But it's about treating people better. So, for example, in business, it's tough. Sometimes you get people that treat you bad. If I'm going to go and treat them bad back, I'm just as bad as them. So it's about treating them better. Because success, I believe, success doesn't come from because Mohammed is smart. I was always a C student. I succeeded because I used to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day to make me successful. Every single day, ad'i Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And ad'i Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to keep these guys that I had, that was the blessing in the first place from day one, happy with me. Because I knew if I lost them, I lost everything. So alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allah kept these amazing bunch of guys with me. And we were able to really make a difference, because we were in an industry. Some people said, no, you're in a no-brainer industry, but that's not really the case. We were competing with much larger companies across the region. They were a lot bigger than us. They were spending a lot more money than us. But we had one thing: we had a team that was a lot better than them. And it's not about the money. It's about really having people that who see what you see. And alhamdulillah, I was able to make them see the light in the end of the tunnel, the one that I was.
Okay, great. Mohammed, you said also some. Mohammed, you said something very interesting that actually inspired me, because as some of you know who are part of our program, Mohammed has actually is part of our mentoring program, one of the first people who believed in our mentoring program. And when you were speaking about how you're actually going to have this high caliber team that are going to invest and focus on all of these investments, I feel like it's a sort of mentorship. So what are your views on mentorship, and can anyone be a mentor? Why did you decide to volunteer and become a part of our program? Because
still to this moment, I am actually a student as well. I'm also learning. So I go, for example, I don't know everything. So if there's an area which I don't understand, I will go to the guys that know it and ask them for help. So for me, starting off, alhamdulillah, thank God, I was blessed by people around me that were very generous in sharing knowledge. And that's one of those factors that really helped me a lot. So you have to give back. And I spend hours every week, sometimes more than 10, 12 hours a week, sitting with people and mentoring them. And I do that for nothing. And I do it with great pleasure. Why? Because it's about, you have to give back. And again, see, if I help somebody And this somebody goes and helps somebody else, and then we'll have a more chance of success. And if there's more chance of success, the ecosystem becomes better. And if it becomes better, it's good for all of us.
Yes.
So that you have to believe in the greater good. If you don't believe, if you think of it in a very selfish way, I think I just keep it for myself, let me not share the knowledge, or let me charge people for that knowledge, that's just nonsense. And I think that's why European countries became great, that's why America became great, is because there's always that vision of the maslaha al-amma, the greater good. And unfortunately, in some Middle Eastern countries, we lack that. We're a little bit selfish. So it's about, we have to really share as much knowledge as possible. If somebody copies your idea, let them copy it. Well, we have to realize the market is big. It can cater for a lot of people, a lot of competitors. So rizq بالنهاية ترى it's من Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not, it comes from God, it doesn't come from you. And that's what you have to realize. If you realize these things, you'll be blessed, in my opinion. And I didn't really invent it. My granddad followed in those footsteps. He became one of the most successful people in the Gulf. My father the same. So I just, I saw these great people in front of me, and all I did is just really copy what they did. I did not reinvent anything new.
Okay, great. And on that very positive note, I'd like to open the floor for questions. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people here that are here. We have a question over here, up there in the front. Please introduce yourself.
Samir Imani, thank you for the talk. My first question is, you said a lot of unconverted sectors. Which sectors do you think those are, and which are scalable throughout the Gulf? The second question, if I may, is that you said that we don't need to necessarily invent new things, we can just improve the wheel, as it were, and we can follow in the footsteps of those in the West or in Japan, etc. In regards to that, there's such a huge disparity in terms of the research output of those in the Gulf compared to those in the West or Japan. Even if we take a very low-grade American university or any Western university for that matter, the amount of publications they have is greater than the entire MENA region. Last year there was only publications for agriculture and falconry, but really there's nothing. So how do you really think we can actually follow in anyone's footsteps where the education disparity is so big? Those are my two questions.
First part of your question is which sectors. I'm a believer in marketplace concepts, where you're a mediator between supplier and consumer. And I believe, just like food, there is other sectors that people pick up the phone and order from so-and-so service. And these sectors already now, the last year and a half, I've been watching the market closely. There's almost every product has already been, someone has thought of the idea and is doing it. So it's about going into these businesses and finding these right people to back them up, to take these, make them into great. And of course, by doing it, for example, one of the reasons why Talabat became successful is because it's a convenience. Really, instead of calling the number and spending 5 minutes explaining to the person, and you get the order wrong, just go. You can order in a couple of minutes. So you can do the same thing in other sectors. Regarding the second part of the question, I mean, education. And what saddens me a little bit in coming when I see people have a little bit of a laid-back kind of culture, and being laid back, being too comfortable. If you look at the old, let's go back 100 years. The people of the Gulf were very, very hardworking. They were very, very hardworking because they had to be hardworking. Otherwise, they wouldn't live. So you had to work, get 2 jobs just to survive, not just to make money. Now, thank God, we are blessed with really generous governments. This generosity has affected a little bit our innovation and the will for us to get up and do something. And I believe in America and Europe, they don't have that. So that pushes them really to do extra things. At the same time, if you look at people in America and Europe, there's always support for people, support for ideas. In this part of the world, there's a lot of great people and great ideas, but you get others trying to, you just stay here, I'm here, and we have a lot of that, I think, in this part of the world. But it's changing. We're looking at the young people coming up now, they're very, very different. Young people now have different beliefs, different visions. That's why I'm a real believer in this part of the world. especially the Gulf countries. For me, my experience in Bahrain, one of the reasons why I love Bahrain, I mean, my grandfather was one of the first investors, Kuwaiti investors in Bahrain since the early 50s. My experience in those 5 years in investing in Bahrain, I mean, to tell you the truth, it's easier for me as a Kuwaiti to work in Bahrain than in Kuwait. And so, what do you think? So you have to love this place. It encourages. Now, it's about getting that, those Bahraini kind of beliefs, try to spread them in. That's what I do in Kuwait. When I go to these people, I say, حرام عليكم, احنا في البحرين الجماعة قاعد يساعدونا واحنا كويتيين. Kuwaitis and Kuwaitis who are fighting against us. And it's changing. Kuwait is changing. Bahrain is changing. Dubai is leading the way. I think the next 10 years, the gap will be small, in my opinion. Inshallah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think, team, we have room for one more question. One more question? I'll allow one more question. Okay, we have Ahmed over there. Do you see how I just ignored them?
Why did you ask them?
We'll have one more question. Again, I encourage everybody to take advantage of the networking opportunity right after the talk.
Ahmed Sawafiri from Startup Magazine. Mohammed, to what extent do you think, I mean, there's a lot of activity and movement towards encouraging startups and entrepreneurship in the region, as you see from governments to venture capitalists and all that. But to what extent do you think there is a lack of investor education when it comes to entrepreneurship? I mean, if you are to build a real estate project, you can get funding probably in a week. But if you're a startup trying to get funding, that takes a lot more. There's a lot of money in this region, but I think that access to this capital from the existing investors is very minimal. While they would be investing in companies like Uber and others, but it doesn't seem that there is enough trust in their own people in this region. And to what extent do you think you can play a role in this investors' education?
I think that's a very good question. Definitely we have a problem. It's a very obvious problem that we have. However, we're improving. That's a good thing. It's not getting any worse, it's actually getting better. We are very traditional people here. People love bricks and mortar in this part of the world. However, I mean, with more success, that's what I mean, is if I can encourage people to become successful, it's going to also encourage others to invest more into the sector. If I fail, or we fail and he fails and that fails, then people are just going to be more scared off. So we are heading now, I'm seeing more and more funding heading towards startups now than it was, for example, 5 years ago only. Talabat, before we bought it in 2009, struggled to get any sort of funding, and Talabat was already, the year we bought it, was netted 96,000 dinar net profit. And they struggled to get funding. And today, you're getting startups really with zero track record of for the entrepreneur himself and the business, and they're able to raise in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's changing, and I believe it's going to change more and more as more young people, get access to capital. It depends. When you want to get a 70, 80-year-old access to capital, he's not going to understand technology as well as a 30, 35-year-old. But that's changing quickly. So we're heading towards, that change. And we have to see, if we work positively, if we work to encourage these young people, if we don't empower youth now, we're going to miss the chance for us to improve as an Arab world. We have to support the young people now. This is the time, not next year or tomorrow. It has to be now. And I'm a believer, if you give the young person a chance now, let him make a mistake, no problem. We all make mistakes, but let him learn. So imagine you don't give him the chance, and he makes a mistake when he's older. It's too late. It's finished. So I'm a believer in that. Again, this is not something out of the box. This is something all the great countries do that. Just follow. Let's follow on their footsteps. It's not more a banana to copy somebody.
I don't know what happened over there. Okay, actually that's a very good note to end on. And again, I encourage everybody to network with Mohammed during the networking session. He said something very important, and I always say this. I said we always get compared to the West. Look at the U.S. and look at Europe, and yeah, we're maybe far behind in terms of years when we started with entrepreneurship. But what you said was correct. We have all of their experience to learn from, copy from, and then move ahead. So hopefully for all of the different types of parties that are here today, we'll hear from Mohammed. I think he's given us a lot to think about, a lot of new, higher aspirations and goals. So not only do you have to come with your idea, you're going to have to come with a little bit of experience before you get $1 from Mohammed, right? Any
Too
last,
much experience.
Okay. Any last words to the audience before you go? Inspiration?
I just want to say how much I love this country, Bahrain. Honestly.
Yeah, come on, we need a round of applause.
To be honest, this is, you know,
Set up a new company in the head.
inshallah. You know, I was just speaking with a half Kuwaiti, half Bahraini gentleman yesterday. And his mother is Bahraini, his father is Kuwaiti, and he's been telling me how much he loves islanders. And he's telling me that people in Kuwait are not friendly. People in Bahrain are very friendly. And I said that people in Kuwait are friendly as well. But I owe a lot to this amazing, beautiful country. And I truly believe, and great things will come from Bahrain. Great things will come from the Gulf. We have to be patient. The biggest problem we have is that impatience. Human being is naturally impatient. Let's be patient. Let's work together. Let's group together. Let's focus and let's follow the best practice. And once we do that, and I believe, inshallah, bidnillah, great success will come from this amazing, beautiful country which has beautiful people as well, inshallah, yani. And I'm always going to support this country in anything this country needs.